Hi guys, welcome back to ladensercrochets and welcome to the very first tutorial of 2024. I created this skirt at the beginning of the year for a client and most of you were asking for a tutorial, so I decided why not. What you need for this project are yarn, a medium weight yarn. I'm using this color teal, I think. Then 4.5 millimeter crochet hook, a darning needle, a pair of scissors, a measuring tape, and at least 2 stitch markers. Our starting chain is the waist measurement, but it should be something that can go over your head, through your shoulders, and through your bust. So when you're chaining, the waist measurements do not stretch out the work. So start with a slip knot. Chain 5. Pull out the hook, insert it into the first stitch, then put it back into the 5th stitch and continue chaining. Your chain should be a multiple of 3. I've chained 81 and I'm going to measure this to see what I get. My waist measurement is 30, so I want to get 15 when this is folded into 2 without stretching, because like I've mentioned, it has to go over your shoulders and through the bust so that it gets to the waist. And at this point I'm at 12. I need to get to 15 because 15 multiplied by 2 is 30, so I'll keep chaining. This is after 99 chains, and that gets me to the 15. When it stretches, it goes up to 18. My bust measurement is 36, and because it's 18, it can be able to go through the bust. So now I'll work with 99. Make your chain and make sure that it's a chain that is divisible. It's a number that is divisible by 3, and the number should also be an odd number. So after my 99 chains, I'm going to pull the hook, this loop, the second loop, through the first loop to complete a slip stitch, and then chain 1, work into the back loop, this one right here, of the first stitch, and we're going to work a single crochet into the next back loop. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop to get 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops to complete a single crochet, go into the back loop of the 3rd stitch and complete a single crochet into the back loop of the 4th chain and do a single crochet. Then we're going to do a single crochet into every back loop. I'm in the last stitch, and to complete the first row, we're going to insert the hook into the very first single crochet that we did, then yarn over and slip stitch right there. And that's row 1 done. Then we're going to chain 1 and turn to begin row 2. Start from the very first stitch, insert your hook and do a single crochet. And this stitch and this one are the same. So as we come back, we're not going to work into this stitch. Now place 1 single crochet into every stitch all the way around. So this is the second stitch. And then into the third and all the way around. I'm in the last stitch, which is this one right here. Remember, I mentioned that this is the very first stitch and we're not working into it, because if you do, you'll be increasing a stitch in every row. So make sure that you don't work into it. Now complete row 2 by inserting your hook into the first single crochet and do a slip stitch. Chain 1 and turn to begin row 3. Again, we begin into this very first stitch, and then we make sure we don't work into this one when we come into the end of that row. So work a single crochet into that very first stitch, a single crochet into the second stitch, and into all the stitches. Then I'm going to work round row 3, 4, and 5. Same way we've worked row 2, just 1 stitch into every stitch, and then at the end we slip stitch onto the first single crochet, then we chain 1 and turn. So I'll be back once I have the 5 rows. I'm done with the 5 rows, and this is what I have, and that represents the waistband of the skirt. So now we begin working the main part, and we're going to start by chaining 3. The chain 3 will act as a double crochet and a chain 1, then turn. When you turn, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that very first stitch and pull up a loop. Then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 to complete a double crochet. Then you're going to chain 1, skip the second stitch, insert your hook into the third stitch and place a single crochet. Chain 1, yarn over, skip the next stitch, work into the one that follows with a double crochet. Then chain 1, yarn over, go into that same stitch with another double crochet. Then chain 1, skip the next stitch, work a single crochet into the one that follows. Chain 1, yarn over, skip the next stitch, work into this one with a double crochet, chain 1 and another double crochet. So double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet into that stitch. Then we chain 1, skip this, work a single crochet next, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet into the same stitch. And that's the pattern that we're going to repeat all the way till we get to the end of row 1 of the main part of the skirt. At this point, I've done the double crochet shell, and I only have 2 stitches remaining. So I'm going to chain 1, and I'll count this as a stitch, so that in total we have 3 remaining, so that we work in this second last stitch with a single crochet, then chain 1. To complete row 1, we slip stitch into the second chain 1 and 2. So into the chain 2, do a slip stitch, then do a slip stitch into the chain 1, this one right here, so that we get into that very first shell that we did, and we're done with row 1. Now once you're done with row 1, you need to take your measurement, because you want to make sure that you're getting closer to your hip measurement. So at this point, I'm going to measure these out and see how far we are along. So without stretching, we are at 16. When I give this a bit of a stretch, it goes up to 18.5. My hip measurement is 44, so I need to increase till I get to 22. Now before I work the increase, I'm going to do the second row, then I'll increase into the third row. I'll be increasing after every 2 rows. So chain 3, then yarn over, go into that very same chain stitch and do a double crochet, so that we have the double crochet, chain 1 and another double crochet. Then we're not going to work into the single crochet, instead we're going to chain 3, then we're going to skip over to the double crochet, to the chain in between these 2 double crochets, and yarn over, work a double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet into that stitch, then chain 3 again, skip over this part, work into the chain 1 with a double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet, again chain 3, yarn over, work the double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 3, then double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet, then chain 3, skip over and do the double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet. And that is what we're going to repeat till we get to the end of row 2. At the end, we're going to chain 3, then slip stitch onto the chain 2 of the very first chain 3 that we did, and that completes. It's actually round 2, not row, because we're working in rounds, we're not turning. So that's the end of round 2. Slip stitch into the chain 1 gap right here, and that's our starting point for round 3. Now hold your work like this to determine the exact middle. So this is what I do to get the exact middle of the skirt. Just align the corresponding stitches like this, and that now this is the middle part. So I get this part and I bring it to the point where we have the first stitch. Bring it like this, like that. Then we're going to get the stitch markers and mark this chain 1 gap on. So the chain that we're marking is the one that is in between the double crochets, that one right there. Then we align the work and mark the one that is on the other side, on the opposite side. So that your work looks like this. So now this is the starting point. These are the points of increase for the hips, this side and this side. Now you should ensure that the number of gaps that we have on top is the same as the ones that we have at the bottom. And now we begin round 3, sorry, we begin round 3, and we begin by chaining 3. Go back into that chain 1 gap and place a double crochet, then chain 1, in between, into this chain 3 stitch, do a single crochet, then chain 1 into the chain 1 on top that separates the 2 double crochets, do a double crochet shell, 1 double crochet shell stitch, that is what we call it, then chain 1 into the chain 3, do a single crochet, chain 1, yarn over, and do the 1 double crochet shell stitch. That is 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet. And now that's what we have, chain 1 into this, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet into the chain 1 gap, and repeat this till you get to the stitch marker. Once you get to the stitch marker, pull it out, chain 1 before getting into that point, then do a double crochet in that space where we add the stitch marker, chain 1, do another double crochet, chain 1, go back into the same stitch with a double crochet, then chain 1, go back into the same with another double crochet. So in total you should have 1, 2, 3, and 4 double crochets, each separated by a chain. Then we're going to count the 3 gaps, 1, 2, and 3, then mark the gap that is in the middle, and that is our first increase. That's how it looks like. Now chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet shell, 1 double crochet shell stitch, and now repeat that till you get to the next stitch marker. Once you get to the stitch marker, we're going to increase the way we've increased at this point. I'm at the stitch marker, so I'll pull it out, then do a double crochet into that point, chain 1, another double crochet, chain 1, a third double crochet, chain 1, and a 4th double crochet. Then mark the middle gap, then now continue with the pattern to the end. Now start by chaining 1, then single crochet, chain 1, double crochet shell stitch into the next gap, chain 1, single crochet onto the chain 3, chain 1, double crochet into the chain 1, and back with another double crochet, then continue to the end. I'm at the end, and at the end I'm going to chain 1, then slip stitch into the chain 2, slip stitch into the chain 1 gap to begin round 4, then chain 3, back into that stitch with a double crochet. Then we are in the row where we are chaining 3, so next we're going to chain 3. Round 4 is the same as round 3, the only difference is round 4 is the same as round 2, the only difference is at the stitch marker. So now we're chaining 3 and yarning over, skipping over to the shell, to the double crochet shell, and placing another one there, double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet. Repeat this till you get to the stitch marker. So before the stitch marker we have this gap. Into this gap we're going to do a double crochet, chain 1 and another double crochet. Then we're going to chain 3, then work another shell into the at the point where we have the stitch marker. After chaining 3, go into that point with 1 double crochet shell. So double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet. So that's what we're going to have. Then mark that stitch again chain 3, and we're just going to go into the gap that is close to this other gap right here and do the double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet. So double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet right there. And that's what you should have at that point of increase. Now chain 3, skip over to the next shell and do another shell there, and repeat till you get to the stitch marker. So I'm in the chain before the stitch marker, so I'm going to place a double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet, then I'll chain 3, work at the point where we have the stitch marker with a double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet, then mark that point, chain 3 again, then into this chain 1 place a double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet. So that's what we have at the point of increase. Now chain 3 and repeat what we've been doing till you get to the end of round 4. At the end, slip stitch onto the chain 2, then slip stitch into the chain 1 in between, chain 3 to begin round 5. Go back into that stitch with a double crochet, chain 1, work into the chain, the 3 chains, work a single crochet into it, chain 1, double crochet into the next shell, chain 1, another double crochet like that, then chain 1, single crochet right here, chain 1, double crochet right there, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, next we do the double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet. For round 5 and round 6, we're not going to increase at this point, so we're just going to repeat round. This is 1, 2. We are repeating round 3. Only that there's no increase. So chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet. So now repeat this to the end and make sure that you keep marking the point where you have the stitch marker. So once you get to the stitch marker, you're just going to pull it out. Remember, we are not increasing, so we're just going to work the double crochet, chain 1 and another double crochet, and then get the stitch marker and mark that point. So we maintain that point because we'll need to use it during the next increase. Chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, single crochet. I'll meet you at the end of round 5. I'm at the end of round 5 and I'm going to do the slip stitch onto the chain 2, then slip stitch onto the chain 1, chain 3 to begin round 6, go back into that chain 1 with a double crochet. Now we're not increasing in round 6, so we're just going to work the double crochet shells and the chain 3s. So chain 3, skip over. So we're skipping over this part and working into the shell. So double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet there, chain 3, skip over and work the double crochet shell, and we're just going to repeat this to the end of round 6. We are not increasing at the points where we have the stitch marker, so you're just going to pull out the stitch marker and work normally without the increase, but then you're going to place the stitch marker back in place. I'll keep going and meet you at the end of round 6. I'm done with row 6 and I'm just going to turn my work like this, then check the measurement of the hips from one stitch marker to the other, and as you can see, without stretching, my hip measurement is at 20. When I give this a bit of a stretch, it will go up to 23, which is 46, and I'm working with 44. So I already have an extra 2 inches, which is okay, because that way the skirt will not be too tight. But make sure that you do not increase too much. Now that I've hit my hip measurement, I do not need to increase again, but I'll show you how to increase one more time in row 7, then I'll let you keep going. So as you can see, the increase creates just one increase will add so many inches to your skirt, and therefore with this pattern you will not need to do so many increases. You might just need 1 or 2 increases to get to your hip measurement. So now I'm going to work round 7. So slip stitch into the chain, then chain 3 to begin round 7. Go back into that with a double crochet, chain 1, work a single crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet, then chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet, then chain 1, another double crochet into that same stitch. Now repeat this till you get to the stitch marker. When you get to the stitch marker, you're increasing. I've already gotten to my hip measurement, so I'm only showing you how to increase, and then I'll undo that row and keep going without an increase. So right here, we're going to do a double crochet, chain 1, back into that stitch with another double crochet, chain 1, back there with a third double crochet, chain 1, and then back with a 4th double crochet. And in total, when you're increasing, you should have 3 double crochets. You can actually rewind this back to where we did the increase and then mark the middle point. So we have 1, 2, and 3, so the second one. And now for the rest of the other parts, you're just going to work normally with single crochet, chain 1, then single crochet, chain 1, double crochet on top of the next double crochet, and now repeat to the end. I'm actually going to unravel this up to this point, then I'm going to work normally. Now when you're working the next row after the increase, you're going to work into this gap, you're going to work the shell, then you're going to chain 3, work another shell in at the point of increase, chain 3 again, work another shell at the next point. So now I'll just pull out this stitch marker and the other one because I don't need them anymore. I've already hit my hip measurement. Then I'll undo this part that I've increased so that I only remain with 1 shell in that stitch. Then I'll chain 1, work a single crochet into the chain 3, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet. So for row 7 we are repeating row 3 without the increase. That is, if you've already hit your hip measurement. If you've not hit your hip measurement, you're repeating row 3 with the increase. I hope that makes sense. So now chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, and another double crochet. So from this point we are just repeating the basic 2 rounds, that is round 3 and round 4. Now round 3 is the one that has the chain 1 and the single crochets. Round 4 is the one that has the chain 3s in between instead of the single crochets. So now let me finish round 7 and then I'll show you how to work round 8. And then I'll let you keep going until you get the length of the skirt that you want before I come back and show you how to attach the fringes or the tassels. I'm at the end of round 7. Now we chain 3 to begin round 8 and work the double crochet. So for round 8 we are working the chain 3s, then the double crochets. Now round 9 will be the same as round 7. whereby we have the double crochets, the chain ones, and the single crochets. And then we're just going to keep alternating the 2 rows till we get the full length of the skirt that we want. Now I'll go on work my skirt, then I'll be back and let you know how many rows I'll have done in total to get to the length that I want. I don't want my skirt too long because it should be a mini skirt with the long tassels or the long fringes. So I'm just going to work a few more rounds and then get back. I've done a total of 21 rows to get me to this length of the skirt, and that's the total length that I'm going to work with before I attach the tassels or the fringes. This is a length of around 12 inches, as you can see. So the 21 rows plus the waistband get me to the 12 inches. Then I want my tassel to go up to 40 inches. So from the point where I've cut the yarn to get to 40, that will be 28. So the length of my fringe or the length of my tassel will be 28 because my full length is 40. If you do not want a short skirt, you can go on and work more rows. Just make sure that you end with the row that has the double crochets and the single crochets, as you can see. Now at the very end, we're going to chain 1 and cut off the yarn, but as we cut off the yarn, we want to make sure that we are leaving a length of the fringe that we want. So I'm going to leave a length of 28 inches. You can leave 29, or you can leave an allowance of an inch so that you're able to trim at the end, because sometimes even when you cut the fringes, they may not be the same size, so you need an allowance of an extra inch or 2 to ensure that you do not end up with some fringes that are shorter than others. So I'll cut at that mark, then I'll pull the yarn through, and there we have the first fringe. Now when you are attaching the fringes, we're going to attach them into each of the gaps. So I'll be working into this single crochet gap, into the next single crochet gap, into this one, into this one. If you don't want too many, you can skip a gap as you move along. Now in each of the gaps, I'll place 2 pieces. Let me show you how to cut the tassels. So you get your yarn and the measuring tape. Like I mentioned, I'm going to make a tassel of 28, but I'll work with 29. So you need to go up to 29. Then you're going to fold it at that point. Fold it like this, and then cut. So it's like you're doubling the length. So let me get my pair of scissors. Cut. So now that will be 29 multiplied by 2, because when we are attaching, we attach it when it is folded into 2. So if the length of the tassels that you want, if the length of the tassel that you want is 30, you're going to cut a length of 60, so that when you fold into 2, it goes to 30. Now I'll just stretch this out, get some more yarn, then beginning from here, I'll just pull the yarn like this till I get to the end, get my pair of scissors and cut at that point, then continue cutting that same length. Now as you can see, one of them looks shorter, and that's why I mentioned that you need to leave an allowance of 1 to 2 inches to ensure that you do not end up with some being too short or being shorter than others. So now continue cutting your fringes until you get a number of fringes that you think can go all the way around your skirt. So I'll cut mine and then come back. These are the fringes that I've cut, and I've used 1 ball of yarn to cut these. I'll use these ones, and if they're not going to be enough, I'll just go on and cut more. So this is what we have. I'll just set them aside. and grab my skirt. Then I'll get two of these, fold them into half. So ensure that they are folded such that you're holding the middle part. So right here, these are the ends and this is the middle part. Then you're going to get your hook, determine one of the gaps. Into this gap, because it's only one, I'll do an extra one. So into the next gap, which is this one, insert your hook and grab the fringes, pull up a loop, then pull through that loop, and there you have your first fringe. Now into this gap, this one should be in this gap, so I'm going to get just one of the fringes, fold it into half, insert it into this gap, then grab this together with the one that I'm holding and then pull them through to create a loop, then yarn over and pull through the loop and pull through like that. So then I'll get two more. Ensure that you're holding them such that they are well aligned on either side. Fold them into half, get into the next gap, grab the fringe, put it through the hook and pull through, then yarn over and pull through all the way, then fasten. Then we're going to move into the next gap, get two pieces of the yarn, fold them into half, then into that gap you've inserted your hook, pull up a loop, then pull through and pull all the way through. And this is what we're going to do all the way around the bottom part of the skirt. So now I'll just keep going and I'll be back once I have my fringes attached to see whether we'll need to trim. And once you're done attaching the fringes, you'll have your skirt ready. Yeah, I'm done attaching the fringes all the way around the skirt, and you can trim them down to your desired length. So finally I'm going to show you how to work the strap that goes onto the waist, because the waist area is bigger than your normal waist and therefore you need to attach a drawstring in order to ensure that the skirt fits. To do the drawstring, I use 2 strands of the yarn, and I'm just going to start by a slip knot and then make a chain that is long enough to fit all the way around the waist and be able to make a knot at the end. So slip knot, then chain. I'm going to do a chain of 200. I have my chain ready, so I'll just cut off the yarn and pull it through. Then I'll attach it to the waist area using the darning needle. So just put the strap through the needle. Then I'm going to get this part and hold my skirt like this so that I determine this is the back part, and then when I hold my skirt like this, this will be the complete middle at the front part of the skirt, and I'll start attaching the strap from this point. So you can attach the strap however you feel is okay for you. You don't have to do it same way I'm doing. So I skip one stitch from the right side, then from the wrong side I skip 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 4, then 1, then again 4, 1 on top, 4 from the bottom, 1 on top, and I'll just go all the way around the skirt. I have my strap in place, so these ends that have remained at the end, I'll just make a knot and make sure that the knot is close to the stitches, then tighten it and cut off the end that remains, not too close to the knot, just like that. And then do the same thing on the other side. Make the knot, then cut off. And there you have your strap attached to the waist area of the skirt, and this now draws the waist together to ensure that the skirt fits perfectly onto the waist. I'm then going to weave in this end. This is the only end that we have, so you need to weave it in from the wrong side of the skirt. So weave it in and then cut off the end that remains. And there we have our cover-up skirt ready. If you've enjoyed the tutorial, kindly leave a like, a comment, share, subscribe, and when you get to recreate this, do not forget to share your recreations on TikTok and on Instagram, and then tag me. I'll be reposting your posts. See you in the next one.